Hello, ladies and gentlemen. HarlequinCoHO here, and I have a big fat 3 versus 3 game for you all today. This map is Redball Express, which, by the way, was the name for the Allied supply chain that connected their beach operations to their inland operations when they first invaded Normandy. So that's where this namesake comes from. But without further ado, let's take a look around the map and get introduced to the players. So on the northern half of the map here, we do have the Allies. We've got HarlequinCoHO here, who is going to be our infantry commander. I actually spent the time and looked every single one of these people up on their various ladders. He is currently rank 31 on the 3 versus 3 ladder. To his right, we have Play for Fun, who is an armor commander. He is currently number 75th on the 4 versus 4 ladder. And to his right, we have HSO1, who is currently number 26 on the 3 versus 3 ladder. Now, HSO1, it's been a while since high school chemistry, but if you take H2SO4, which is sulfuric acid, and combine it with H2O, which is water, you get H3O, which is hydronium and positively charged, and you also get HSO4, which is hydrogen sulfate. So he's some form of hydrogen sulfate that is unstable. That's the best I can think of. But chemistry aside, we'll take a look at their opponents. On the other half of the map here, we have, in the exact center, I believe, we have DiscoStuH, who is going to be a Blitzkrieg commander. He is, I believe, in the top 3% or top 2%. Dominating to his right, who is going to be a Terror commander, again, top 2%-ish player. And Star of the War, who is top 1%, and I looked him up. He is 111th on the 3 versus 3 ladder. Those ladders, by the way, go to 200, just to give you an idea. So let's go ahead and get this game started, because we have a lot of game to get through here. So pretty much just going to be standard openings for all people, and there's kind of too much to keep track of there, so I am going to just look at this map overhead in case any of you are not familiar with it. You can see there's this long and winding road that kind of goes all through the middle and zigzags across. The most notable feature on this map is the fuel. This, because it's a 3 versus 3 map, fuel tends to be the main thing. You can see everybody has kind of one free fuel off on their corner. And then they have pretty symmetrical. So we got these 2 fuels here, which are the Axis, these 2 fuels here, which are the Ally, and then a string of 3 fuel right up the middle, which is going to be kind of fought over here between the Axis and the Allies. Really, this central fuel here is asymmetric. Either one of these fuels here is asymmetric, but it's important to remember that for these kind of big, huge maps, you often want a fuel advantage, and I have had some of my most spectacular victories on this map only because we went for the fuel and guarded them like they were victory points. Just capture the fuel, ignore everything else. So we'll have to see how fuel distribution goes this game, but otherwise, let's see where everything else is going to go here. So right away, we can see that HSO1 went ahead for a barracks. We do have Play for Fun, who is the armor commander, starting off with a weapon support center, and HarlequinCoHO started off with his own little barracks here. You can see he does have a level 1 Trailblazer rifleman. These guys have a bunch of different sprint abilities. As you can see, he went ahead and activated it right there. I'm not sure how much you gain by just sprinting for no purpose like he's doing right now. It is a free ability, but as you can see, when it wears off, it does have a cooldown that kind of slows them all down again. I'm guessing they gain more than they lose, because right now they're really slow, but I think overall you run a further distance by just spamming that out there. So we just have a gaggle of units moving all over the place, and my first concern is going to be I want to see where everybody's going here. So you can see it looks like a combination of HSO1 and Play for Fun. We're down here guarding this building. Very important to hang on to that building. Early building cover is a great way to stall. You can see he was even thinking about sitting out here in this outhouse, but there's just overwhelming forces. A common theme I see on this map is people kind of lightly attack either the left or the right, but really pigpile on this spot here. This chunk of the map here, as I've pointed out, has 3 fuel depots, and so some of the most intense fighting can often happen here, in addition to having a victory point. So a lot of skirmishing going on here. Let's take a look on the right-hand side of the map and see what's up. It looks like HSO1 has managed to gain control over this house. This house and this victory point here tend to be a nice little base of operations, and pretty much skirmishing going on all over there. Checking back into the middle here, we can see, wow, nice hand grenade. That must have come from Katzenmeyer's Volksgrenadiers. As I often point out, those guys can throw hand grenades. They are level 5, but check out the nice little crossfire. Looks like Play for Fun has got his skilled HMG team out on the field and in action, and that kind of put an end to all that fighting there. Looks like he was thinking about building a bunker there, but I absolutely agree with his choice to remove that. No need to have that there for the time being, since they've kind of scared everybody else away here. Meanwhile, it looks like Star of the War went ahead and dropped some mines, always a good idea, and heavy machine guns coming out for DiscoStuH. 5% weapon damage, 5% received damage. So going to go ahead and spray into these charismatic engineers. If you're not familiar, charismatic engineers gain an extra man, but I'm never convinced that they have more hit points or anything like that. They seem to die just as fast. They just happen to have 5 dudes. But you can see nice little crossfire here. This building is super annoying. I often see people grab that forwardly and just kind of sit there and lay suppressing fire. It's got kind of a few awkward lines of sight. You can see it doesn't really look too well down this road, but it's still a good building to hold on to. In the meantime, it looks like we still have a rifleman squad occupying this building, and likely as soon as HSO1 grabs this, he's going to start upgrading this to a forward barracks. Let's see, we do have a Jeep moving out here, a Jeep for Torquedo, backed up with some engineers. And let's take a look at the left-hand side. So it looks like Star of the War managed to just kind of unopposed grab this whole left-hand side of the map. And now he's just going to keep on pushing. I think that's not a bad idea at all. Guarding his flank here with a single mine, this is often a nice way to flank whoever's on the left-hand side of the map. And so I like that. And you can see just this HMG team backed with all of these various Volksgrenadiers and Pioneers laying down some hurt. Not a bad assault here, but Torquedo just really needs to get out of here. That machine gun point blank, as you can see, attacking a machine gun heads on like that really never ends all that well for you. Looks like Torquedo is also stalling out in this house here. This house, by the way, you almost never see it used defensively, but using it offensively, like if in this position the Germans could manage to take control over this strategic point and make this house into a forward barracks, that can be really aggressive stance here. So you can see pushing in really deep, and I totally agree with that. But just don't try to hold on to this territory. Like, if you get thrown out of it, just fall back and make sure that you at least retain control over this position here. On the right-hand side, it looks like dominating is a little bit more caught up here. You can see he's been kind of skirmishing back and forth. He was able to scare away the riflemen that were in that building, but it looks like a heavy machine gun emplacement has been activated by HSO1. I think that's a little too far back, honestly. I'd much rather see it like right up here. In fact, in fact, you can see that it doesn't even have the sight range to shoot at these guys here at that flag. So taking a look around here, another aggressive forward machine gun emplacement by Play for Fun. And now that machine gun with a little bit of sight is able to fire at these guys, but not before they get that covered. We do have a sniper, motorcycle pair, and infantry on this side here. I kind of like this forward machine gun emplacement, but honestly, I'd rather see it right back here. I think you should always have it just a little bit behind, so people are kind of suckered into walking into it. But it looks like the Field Pioneers just barely decapping that and then having to retreat. Will they get away, taking a little bit more damage, but it looks like they're okay. And man, triple machine guns now right here around this capture point for Play for Fun. So really strong control there. Looks like Wilson's Rifleman level 3, meaning they do have a Browning automatic rifle, but sadly, no Bazooka Joe to be found, are capping this point again. So the Allies, for the most part, look like they have light control over the right, pretty good control over the middle, and zero control over the left-hand side. So left-hand side, real problem here. By the way, note the camouflage Jeep. Torquedo is, of course, an infantry commander, and he can camouflage units. He is camouflaging Jeeps. And I haven't really taken a look around too much. Let's go through Torquedo's abilities. We'll just kind of walk through each player. You can see he's got forward barracks, heroic charge, camouflage, artillery strike, and infantry attrition. Not going to talk too much about those because there's just so much action going here, but I want to start covering each player's abilities. You can see nice forward flamethrowers. Unfortunately, retreating kind of early here. Well, I guess he did take a single casualty there. Note, by the way, the nice-looking forward barracks by Torquedo. You can see it's got the healing aura effect. And at this point, I do really worry about Star of the War. It looks like he is a little bit too far forward. You can see his machine gun emplacement is having to retreat. He just got flanked by these Trailblazer riflemen. The sniper, wow, check it out. The sniper, for the first time in history, being attacked by a camouflage Jeep. Unschitbar. I'm not sure what that means exactly. I think that means, oh my god, invisible. Perhaps German. It looks like we've got just a mass rout here. So unfortunately, it looks like Star of the War pushed really far in deep here and then was forced to retreat with everybody, meaning he is wide open here. There's no defenses whatsoever. So do like this forward barracks here. I'm going to continue my tour around through the players while we're looking around here. I looked at Torquedo. Let's take a look at Play for Fun. Play for Fun Armor Commander has got standard armor layout, Pershing, Calliope, auto repair, HVAP rounds, but he's got raid. Interesting enough, I never see anybody use raid. I suspect it would be good in 1 versus 1, but I still never see anyone use it. Raid allows your vehicles to capture points. Meanwhile, looks like we just have a lot of posturing going on here, but not a lot of fighting at the moment. You can see it looks like dominating is positioned outside here. Once again, I'm going to continue my tour around here. And to take last but not least, HSO1, our hydrogen sulfate compound friend, has got forward barracks, heroic charge, camouflage, artillery strike, and off-map reinforcements. So one infantry commander has off-map, the other one has attrition. Meanwhile, let me go and jump on down here to DiscoStuH, who's in the center of the Axis position. You can see this HMG team here is just kind of preventing any attempt whatsoever at grabbing that fuel point. And we do have some, just a lot of mines here. It looks like Dominating is just really defending this flank. Not only does he have tank traps, but he has mines. Putting tank traps here can be a little bit tricky because I think more often than not that's going to cut you off from your allies. But we'll see. We do have some camouflaged advanced defense engineers here laying some mines, kind of just trying to stay out of sight of this accomplished motorcycle. But it looks like he's not even bothering attacking until he can do something about that machine gun emplacement. So DiscoStuH, by the way, as a Blitzkrieg commander, he has got flares, rocket barrage, and the big heavy armor support, the 1600 one, which will give you 2 vehicles and a Tiger. We had a nice little flank here, but oh, check that out! Using a flare and counter-sniping the sniper. Meanwhile, pretty much all of these riflemen are just kind of ganked. They're in the middle of machine gun fire. There's a lot of grenadiers. It looks like that sniper was trying to take out this Blitz anti-tank gun, took out one of the gunners, and then had to get his head shot off by another sniper. So we've got a heavy push here on the left-hand side by Torquda. Now I was surprised to see this. Torquda actually went and spent 100 munitions upgrading the quad 50 caliber machine gun on the half track. This thing does sometimes do nightmarishly good damage against infantry, but I almost always stay away from them. They're very weak. These units are just incredibly fragile. He's opening fire like crazy here, but really they have no armored skirts or anything, and it looks like we do have a Panzer Faust coming at it, and bam, right in the side armor. You can see almost 50% hit points to a single flimsy Panzer Faust. Those things are very weak, even though they do a ton of damage against infantry. So we'll tune back into that and see what's going on here. In the middle of the map here, we do have some Wilson's riflemen. Looks like they are heroic charge, just kind of running in and trying to chase down these units here. These are HSO1's, Wilson's riflemen, by the way. Avoiding suppression, heroic charge soon to be wearing off, and just in time to retreat after getting one of their heads blown off by a rocket launcher. So, meanwhile, fighting still going on in here in the middle. It looks like, what took that out? It looks like Dominating was waiting for an anti-tank gun in order to pick off that bunker, and now he's charging on in. You can see he's taking out this observation post. So, a lot of progress here on the right-hand side for the Axis. The center also for the Axis. Looks like we got some mortar rounds laying in here. A little bit of crossfire going on. And Star of the War now, if he would ever go up here and start capping these points, it looks like he too... Wonder why he's attacking that exactly. Are there mines there? No, he's just trying to see if he can break down that fence, perhaps. Star of the War taking care of that. I'm going to continue my tour here. We'll take a look at Dominating, who's going to be on the right-hand side of the map. Dominating has got Inspired Zeal, Firestorm Rocket Barrage, and King Tiger. So the teams on the bottom, by the way, are Terror, and Blitzkrieg. I don't know if I pointed that out. I forget sometimes. There's a lot to talk about in these 3 versus 3 games. So, and then let's grab his ally real quick. Star of the War, who's taking up the left-hand side of the flank here. He's got Inspired Zeal, Firestorm Rocket Barrage, King Tiger, and Forced Retreat. You can see it looks like he went for Krieg Barracks right off the bat and is getting lots of Grenadiers, DiscoStuH, Krieg Barracks, and Krieg Barracks again for Dominating. So triple Krieg Barracks. I don't usually see that. Usually at least one player goes for a Sturm Armory. They try and kind of alternate it. Very much like how allies try to alternate between having barracks and weapon support center. So taking a look back at the base, you can see Torquda went for a motor pool. We have Play for Fun grabbing a tank depot and already pumping a unit out of it, and then motor pool for HSO1.